was really wondering what I was going to talk about at this conference, and I guess, you know, I'm the Telehealth Business Coordinator, so it's all about funding, it's all about data, it's all about dollars, etc. But I sort of reflected on Carrie and I. We've been together for a few months now, and I just thought, you know, let's take it back a little bit and look at our relationship and the relationships we have with other parts of the organisation. So if you would just bear with me. So success, how do you measure success? So this is probably the only data sheet that I've got here, so I've been very, very laid back in my data, which it's against my better judgment, but anyhow. So 2014-15 had 4,459 occasions or service events, and in 15-16, 5,128, so an increase of 15%. So year to date for July and August, we've had 1,101 service events, which is an increase of 36% versus last year for the same period. So that's pretty good statistics at the moment. So, as a team, we need to know each other's strengths and weaknesses, what I can learn off Carrie and what Carrie can learn off me. One of Carrie's strengths is knowing rural, having lead as the Director of Nursing and as a Cluster Operations Manager for the Health Service. Carrie can certainly push the telehealth agenda when she's out there, and she certainly does. Me, I like finding things, breaking things down, finding data. That's not me either, by the way, it's too much hair. It's my father. Okay, so what are the gaps in your business? So once we looked at ourselves, then we looked at the Telehealth business unit, and what are the gaps in our unit? Are we reporting our activity to the correct people? Is our message getting through? If not, why not? And so we put strategies in place to fill those gaps. So I also looked at our position descriptions, particularly the roles and responsibilities. The business coordinator had 12 listed and Carrie's position had 10. Of those 10, only 5 differed. So 5 were exactly the same. Here is an example of 3 of them. I think in a team it is important to have clarity over roles. Okay, Carrie and I knew that from this comparison that there will be a lot of overlap. So how do you handle that? Who does it? Who is going to be the go-to person? So if you just have a look here, the business coordinator to the CNC, the highlighted area is the extra part that Carrie had to do on that part of the role and responsibility. Next one, mine, and to provide support and advice to other district health service staff on the provision of clinics. All the rest is exactly the same. And the third one, these are 2 that were completely different, okay? The business coordinator is required to develop and implement systems, and the CNC to provide a professional service. So once we had a look at that, we could see some lines of demarcation, but we could also see where we're going to overlap and how we were going to handle that. I thought it was pretty important to do that. So once we sorted out the telehealth house, we moved to the backyard. Now, you all know that the house can get messy and untidy at times, so you remember you always need to leave time for your own housekeeping. In telehealth case, that is ensuring our current clinics are monitored, data is reviewed, and any new pieces of equipment fit into our house, and it is part of our responsibility. So once we did that, we were in the backyard. And so we're in people's backyard. Who are we able to assist? What can we do to make life easier for our rural customers and acknowledge the barriers? So emotional intelligence. So I'll give Carrie all 100% for this one. I'm a bit behind with the emotional intelligence. So just remember the key points here: the social awareness, the relationship management, the self-management and the self-awareness. Carrie and I actually reflect on conversations we have at meetings, and even when we're going out to the rural sites and we travel back, it's really, really good to have someone to bounce what we talked about, how it went, and we're pretty honest with each other, saying, you know, well, no, I don't think we needed to say that, or Shayne, you know, we could have rephrased that. So we're actually quite honest with each other, because at the end of the day, we run a business, we run a public service, and we spend public monies. So I'm very, very lucky to have Carrie in that respect, because we are pretty honest with each other. A sense of humour. It's probably what I live by. I'm lucky that Carrie puts up with my one-liners, my jokes and my self-deprecating style, because at the end of the day, both of us want to walk out with a smile on our face. So sometimes that's a bit hard, but if you can keep a sense of humour in your business, I think you're halfway there, that's for sure. Shared vision. We talk about shared vision. This is where Carrie and I get our motivation from. When we go out to a rural site or we go into the hospital and they say, yeah, we can do this and we can do that. So that's probably the value of shared vision. And I think that you've got to remember that other stakeholders will have the same shared vision, but they might be coming from a different direction. So don't get that confused with there being a traffic light or there being a stop. Okay, they have got the same shared vision. It's just how we get to that common goal. Leadership. Remember, leadership does not always come from the person with the higher pay rate. Many of my successes have been from listening and learning from administrative staff members who book in telehealth appointments. I've got a young lady over here called Natalie Atkins who's been helping us with that at the moment. And Natalie is all over Hibiscus, and she's been helping the rural site, something that that's a gap in my leadership, but she's taken on that mantle. Where are we up to? And in a previous life too, I had the staff on the laundry floor who looked at workflows, and they knew more about it than I did. So, leadership and learning come from all different aspects of the business. Okay. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. My daughters hear this from me ad nauseum, but I think it is important. Do you listen to reply, or do you listen to understand? I think that's 2 things that you need to take away today. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. Most people listen with the intent to reply. So when we're talking, virtually, Carrie and I, have really made it a point to listen and pause while we hear what the other person has to say, and then take it from there. So listen to understand rather than listen to reply. Okay, so the world is changing. I was in Sydney the other day, and there was a fella about my age, and he was chasing a Pokemon. And that sort of, changing world at the moment. We've got a person over in America who was a man who became a woman and became Woman of the Year. We have someone in Eurovision Song Contest who wears a dress and has a beard. So the world's changing. We need to keep up with those changes and accept those changes. And I don't think that we do as a society at this point in time. You've heard about low socioeconomic here in this organisation or in the public system, and certainly with Darling Downs Hospital and Health Service, we have a low socioeconomic factor, and that's the reality, and we've got to deal with that. Whether I have a belief in it or not, to me, is not the point. It is that we have to deal with that situation that's in front of our eyes straight away. And, the other thing too is if we're too busy to do things, we miss out on opportunities. So I think that, when people say they're too busy, it might be timing, it might be, a time of day. Clinicians are very, very busy. Reschedule. Sometimes some of our ideas that Carrie and I have are 6 months old, and we go back and all of a sudden they're right to go. So timing is everything with this. So that's the slides. I have got a YouTube clip that I want to talk about change management. So this is probably where my sense of humour comes in. We've just had afternoon tea. I hope it doesn't make you ill, and I apologise in advance for this YouTube clip. So if we could just start the YouTube clip. It's about change management. Come on, mate. So change management. There is an urgent need for the change. If you look at the nappy, although the nappy holder is quite content for things to stay the same, the change agent feels there is a need for the change. Yep. So as you can see, change affects people in different ways. We'll go again. So, communication is essential. Both parties are now starting to communicate in regard to the change.
Yeah, mate.
Body language, he gives the thumbs up. Positive affirmation does assist in the change management process. It puts all parties at ease and is part of communication.
Talk cool.
It's all cool. The change agent is powering forward and putting a positive spin on the situation to reassure the other person that this change is a good thing.
Oh, nothing, mate.
The change agent is the leader. What's wrong? Nothing, mate. So that's how good he's taking the change. He's getting right into it.
I'm all right. Yeah, yeah, mate.
The coat hanger. Make sure you have the correct tools to ensure the change assists you to get the end result.
I'm just a bit sick, right? Yeah.
Okay, a bit sick. The other individual is concerned for the change agent. Change can be stressful. Please think of the other parties and what they may have to go through during this change process. And that's about it. Thank you.